من تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي وأفوض أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد. اللهم صل صلاة كاملة وسلم سلاما تاما على سيدنا محمد الذي تنحل به العقد وتنفرج به الكرب وتقضى به الحوائج وتنال به الرغائب وحسن الخواتم ويستسقى الغمام بوجهه الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه في كل لمحة ونفس بعدد كل معلوم لك. اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة الدائمة في الدين والدنيا والآخرة. توفنا مسلما والحقنا بالصالحين. اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا وقلبا خاشعا ولسانا ذاكرا وشاكرا وتوبة نصوحا. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من علم لا ينفع وقلب لا يخشع ودعاء لا يسمع وعمل لا يرفع ونفس لا تشبع. رب يسر ولا تعسر، رب تمم بالخير، رب زدني علما وفهما والحقنا بالصالحين. يا حي يا قيوم يا ذا الجلال والإكرام برحمتك استغيث لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My respected brothers and very respected sisters, Jazakumullah khair jaza for joining us this morning. Inshallah, today we will continue with our dars that we started off a few months back, inshallah. In Islam, sources of evil, why evil happens, why evil we incline towards evil is three. One is, as we should all know, Shaitan alayhi la'na. He has the ability to give you waswasa. The second one is nafsul ammara, a bigger enemy within ourselves. Shaitan is outside and nafs is inside. A'da aduwuk allati bayna jambayk, says Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Regard what is beneath your collar to be your greatest enemy. Inna an-nafsa la'ammaratun bis-su' illa ma rahima rabbi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. Nafs, this particular evil thing within us, part of our psyche, that's how we are designed. Constantly also gives us waswasa, like shaitan. He's not interested in obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It only wants one way, absolutely selfish, self-worshipping, if you like. And it is compulsory for every Muslim to understand his nafs or her nafs and combat with it. For verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. Those who purified it and bring it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qalbun salim are the ones who are successful. And the ones who let it be and let it destroy you are the ones who will suffer the most. Since the beginning, all of the Anbiya alayhimus salam came with this mission to teach you how to become aware of your own inner psyche. Because your greatest enemy is yourself, nobody else. Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam did come with the same mission. He taught us how to make tazkiyah, the process of purifying our hearts, getting rid of the influences of nafsul ammara from ourselves, so that we live such a life We have taken the amana from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ruh, in a very pure state, and return it back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a pure state. And this process called tasawwuf, purification, is tazkiyah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. On that day, nothing will avail you. None of your networks, none of your children, none of your wealth, none of your position, what you were on earth will ever come to help you, except what you bring before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Present to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala your heart, sound and purified heart. When our father left Jannah and mother left Jannah, when he was given the opportunity to stay in Jannah, how long did he stay in Jannah? Do you know? Anybody knows? Remember, he was kicked out from Jannah. Our ulama say it's between Dhuhr and Asr. It was such a short time. Because we have nafs. And nafs dictates everything to us. It is imperative. It is compulsory for us to, fardu ayn, for us to understand our nafs and combat our nafs all of our lives. It will never let you go. It will never and ever let you go. Like shaitan alayhi la'na, designed for one purpose only, to destroy you. Therefore, at a younger age, we have to teach our children what nafs is, what shaitan is, and our third enemy. It is called jahala, ignorance. Actually, our greatest enemy is jahala. When we are ignorant, and nafs loves ignorance. Nafs doesn't want to learn anything, doesn't want to attend anything. Nafs doesn't want to develop. Nafs is happy as is. And nafs wants to just enjoy life any way it can. Doesn't matter, halal or haram, whether it is permissible or lawful or unlawful. Nafs does not care. And this nafs has levels of development. We mentioned before that at the lowest level is nafsul ammara, if you can remember. Then comes nafsul lawama. Then comes nafsul mulhima. Then comes nafsul mutma'inna. Then comes nafsul radiya, then mardiya, and safiya. These are higher levels. But every human being starts at this level. At this level. Unless you train, you give education, you give tarbiyah to this nafs which Islam came to give. Yes, we have Buckley's chance of ever going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a clean slate, with a clean heart. It's impossible. So our ulama tell us that at the lowest level, the animal self has 12 attributes. 2 of them is common with a kafir, with a non-believer, because non-believer has all these attributes, and a Muslim, bad Muslim, has also these attributes, minus the 2, the red 2 dots, the shirk and kufr. Besides that, every Muslim suffers from 1 degree or another, more or less from each and every one of them. And you can never go to the next level of nafs. You can never pass grade 1 unless you finish grade 1. You have to do all the subjects. You need to finish these subjects. You need to understand this. Inshallah, we're just trying to identify these, trying to learn about this. How to actually go about doing it requires real serious medical attention. Spiritual psychology, tasawwuf, is ilmul ihsan, where Jibreel alayhi salam taught us when he came in the hadith of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anh, when he walked in and sit next to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam knee to knee and asked him 3 questions. What is Islam? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave the pillars of Islam. And what is Iman? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave the pillars of the pillars of Iman. آمنت بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر وبالقدر خيره وشره من الله تعالى والبعث بعد الموت حق أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Then he asked, what is ihsan? Ihsan is to worship Allah as if you see Him. How do you create this awareness within yourself that you worship Allah in salat, in anything that you do in life, that you create such an awareness that you truly believe that Allah is watching you? Allah is always watching us. We say we believe with our words, but in our hearts we don't believe, because a person who truly believes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all seeing, al-basir, as-sami', which we learn, could never sin. We are forgetful automatically. Nafs al-ammara makes us forget. Nafs al-ammara is the star of the show. Therefore, have you ever seen a movie where the star is criticized, star is put down, treated like a dirt? No. Star is a star. All his mistakes will be swept under the carpet. That's what Nafs al-ammara does automatically, continuously, every day, every minute. No matter how terrible we are, we look in the mirror and admire who? Yourself. I am handsome. I am this. I dream. Who is this? Who is this thing within you? That's your nafs al-ammara. So we have already gone through kufr and shirk and lalai. What was it again? Ghafla. Yeah, lalai last time. Correct? Now, today, inshallah, I intend to go through, inshallah, two of them. Jahala and habitual sinning. Nafs works on autopilot, loves to work on autopilot, but to his advantage. He wants to continually sin, complete disregard to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll come back to it inshallah ta'ala. So our objective today is to go through Jahala and number 4 and 5 is habitually sinning. The word Jahil is the person who practices Jahala. The person who is Jahil is the person who is practicing Jahala. Jahala usually in our parlance amongst people, we say somebody who's not educated, somebody who did not go to schooling, did not have any schooling, somebody who just lives in the village. We call them Jahil people. That's the dictionary meaning of Jahala, Jahil. But the Shari'i meaning of Jahil is completely different. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us, created jinkind also, to know Him and to worship Him. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Allah created jinkind of mankind except to worship Him, to know Him, to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ. Continue worshipping your entire life until death comes to you, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put us on this earth for a test and has given us an objective of gaining His rida. Before we die, gain Jannah, enter back into Jannah, where we're kicked out, go back to our gain entry into Jannah in this life, not in the next life, in this life. This is the testing ground. الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ. He is the one who has created death and life for you, to test you. الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. To see which of you conduct themselves in such manner that they gain the good pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, die as a Muslim, die as a person who believed in Allah and lived a life of purity. This is our objective in life. Allah tests us every day with difficulties. That's part of the game, part of the maze, part of this difficulty of life. And everybody's imtihan, everybody's trial, everybody's test, everybody's tribulation is completely different. Absolutely different. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests you from the most weakest point of yours, not your strongest. Whatever gets to you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. And He gives it to us. Deliberately make you suffer and test your attitude. Where are you? Do you recognize that it's from Allah and you make sabr? Sabr? Or when a ni'mah comes to you, do you recognize that it's from Allah and you make shukr? A person who knows this and a person who continues to live like this is the opposite of jahil. A person who deliberately ignores this mission, a person who deliberately ignores the purpose for which he or she was created in this life, is the greatest jahil. Even if this person have one dir in front of his name, another dir next to his name, so dir doesn't matter. Even from that university or that university, that university, if that person did not find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if that person did not find Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, if that person did not shake hands with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam's mission, his book, the one he brought, Quran al-Kareem, he did not assign to himself the objective of living such life that at the end of his life, that he's going to gain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure and move on to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That person, no matter how many diplomas he has, he is pure jahil. Ignoramus, not ignorant, ignoramus, the highest form of ignorance. There are two types of aql Allah has bestowed upon us. Al-aql al-ma'ash, and the other one is called al-aql al-ma'ad. Ma'ash and ma'ad. What does that mean? The animal intellect. The intellect that majority of the people around you use, Ahlul Dunya use, for dunya only. They know how to make next dollar. They know how to buy the next house. They know how to enjoy themselves in some resort, some holiday, some dunya. They know, they are so clever, intelligent, but it's all to do with this dunya. This is called the intellect of stomach. Aql al-ma'ash. Al-aql al-ma'ash. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not create you for this purpose. It's part of the test. Allah has subhanahu wa ta'ala created you for higher purpose, to know Allah, to develop yourself spiritually in such manner that you become the Khalifatullah fil ard. You become the representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are His best creation. When you begin to use your intellect in this manner and work for higher purpose, not for a small period here in this world, but for eternity, that means you are in the next gear of intellect where you're using your aql al-ma'ad to do with eternity. Majority of the people of jahala, are the people in full gear in al-aql al-ma'ash. They know exactly everything what to do in this life. But if you ask them anything about akhirah, anything about what they prepared for akhirah, what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what is Jannah, what is Jahannam, what is Hisab, what is Mizan, what is Sirat, they've got no idea and they're not interested. And yet, a Muslim who might be working in a rice paddy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given that enlightenment to his heart. He hasn't been to any university. He sees a beautiful creature, a grasshopper. He says, Subhanallah. He sees a beautiful flower. Tears roll down his cheeks and says, Subhanallah. What a wonderful creation of my Lord. Look at that beautiful smell. Look at that design. Anything and everything. He looks at the sunset. He looks at sunrise. He looks at the clouds. He says, Subhanallah. Allahu Akbar. This person is opposite of jahil. This person is a knower. He knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This person is not jahil. But nafs by default, don't want to come out of state of jahala, ignorance. Because the more ignorant you are, the more away from Islam you are. The more ignorant you are, the more jahil you are, the more away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala you are. The more ignorant you are, the more away from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam you are. And sometimes this jahil person, if he learns something, few things when he was young, he will use this to his advantage, not from the heart. Always show off. If it's in his benefit to become religious and show his religiosity to people, he will dress up like a religious person, be religious amongst the people. He wants to get something from them. But inside, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constantly watches your inside, your inner heart. The inside has not submitted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This person is a foolish person who thinks that he's going to get by and this dunya is his domain, his playground. Ahl dunya, he doesn't think of akhirah, still thinks with akhl al-ma'ash, not ma'ad. If you were to look at the opposite of jahala is ilm. Things become known with their opposites. Muslim civilization, Islamic civilization, Ummah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our deen, our religion, a civilization of knowledge. Our tradition is tradition of knowledge. Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah defines knowledge as قال الله قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Allah said in the Quran, Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم, what he explained. Source of knowledge is Quran. We are knowledge-based people. When you take us away from the knowledge, the source, we become our worst enemies. And the more closer we come to the source of knowledge, we become the best people. Regardless of our nationality or background. What we have produced in terms of books, writings, ilm, no other civilization has ever produced. Unheard of. Millions of volumes of handwritten books. You can't write a book even if you want to. You need to be educated. We start education very early in the piece. Islam gives premium hasana, reward for knowledge, the student and the teacher. There is no other religion on earth which regards learning and teaching as an ibadah. The highest form of ibadah. Imam Ghazali in the book of knowledge, Kitab al-Ilm, at the beginning, if some companion came and says, Ya Rasulullah, what's the best deed? Is it Hajj? Is it Zakat? Is it Jihad? Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, Ilm. They said, Ya Rasulullah, we're asking about Amal, practice. You telling us something. He says, what's the benefit of doing something without knowing? One particular author that you may not know his name, and useless for me to tell you, he's got one particular conclusion. He says, in the West, in the Occident, the more a person becomes learned, the more he studies, the more he becomes scholarly, academic and beyond, the more he leaves his religion, Christianity. Because nothing makes sense in Christianity. And he says, in Islam, the more a person learns, the more a person receives more knowledge, beneficial knowledge, the stronger he becomes in his religion. And the least he studies, least he learns, the worse Muslim he becomes, Jahil. Which is true. There are I collected over maybe 600 ahadith of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. 600 on knowledge alone. I have collected together maybe 120 hadith for madrasa kids to learn. But 50 of them I put aside on just knowledge. The benefit of knowledge. How to get rid of that jahala, state of jahala. If I were to tell you, give you a quiz, so it can wake you up a little bit at the same time. What if there was an announcement on our SMSs, on our WhatsApps, right now telephones are ringing, the government is making an announcement. It says there is a nuclear bomb coming towards Australia. Actually 5, 6 other places in the earth, the world. And this is the Armageddon. We've got less than 1 hour to live. What would you do? What would you do? Pray. Oh, salat. Yes. Beautiful. You will go pray. Somebody will go to the bank and empty the bank, huh? All the money. And what would you do with the money? I don't know what I'll do. I'll go crazy. I'll party until the end. What else would you do? Come on. Just pray. You're looking for shelter. You worried about your family. But in 1 hour, there's no family left. What would you do? Sisters, take wudu and make dua. That's a very good thing. These are beautiful things to do. They're not wrong. But Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam teaches us something. Look, if something happens to you, if I can find it, inshallah, then maybe روي عن أبي ذر وأبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنهما أنهما قالا. Both Abu Dharr and Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh narrated this particular hadith, where قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, they said, Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم said the following: لباب يتعلمه الرجل أحب إلي من 1000 ركعة تطوعا. In my eyes, as the Prophet of Allah, your Prophet, it is far better for a person to learn a chapter from Islamic knowledge than to perform 1000 rak'ats of salat. Nawafil salat. Not the first salat, huh? I heard from the Shaykh, now I'm going to learn, I don't have to pray anymore. No. Just the Nawafil salat. Then what he says afterwards is an answer to my question. If I was in the same situation, I made my intention a long time ago. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: إذا جاء الموت لطالب العلم وهو على هذه الحالة مات وهو شهيد. If death comes to the seeker of knowledge, you're busy learning. Right at that moment, your heart stopped, or a nuclear bomb dropped on your head, or somebody walked in and they shot you, or some disaster happened. Yes? While you're seeking Islamic knowledge, while you're teaching Islamic knowledge, while you're engaged in this particular majlis gathering, while seeking Islamic knowledge, he shall die as a shaheed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you the maqam, the status of a martyr. By virtue of what? Seeking Islamic knowledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, Anbiya wa Siddiqeen wa Shuhada, the highest maqam. after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Nubuwah, is ulum, alim, scholar. The second is alim. The third one is shaheed. Before the shaheed dies, first his blood drops on the ground. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him 7 different gifts. Before it touches down, all of his sins will be deleted. He will see his maqam. He will be freed from this, from this, from this, to do with akhirah. Fascinating to be a shaheed for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And every Muslim should have that intention to become shaheed. There are sayings of our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, he who dies without this feeling, wanting to become shaheed of Allah, he has died in a state of nifaq also. As a munafiq. You need to have that. Whether it's your nasib or not, it's up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It'll happen, it'll happen. But if you had the intention, even if you die in your own bed, amongst your children, a beautiful death after the 105 years old, you will still die as a shaheed. Allah will give you that give that reward. But this all starts with knowledge. Just one hadith I gave you. Better than 1,000 rakats of salat. So if something happens to you, what do? Immediately open up. Start reading. Oh, I learned tayammum. Huh? I don't need tayammum at the moment. But learn tayammum. Learn ghusl. Open your kitab al-tahara. Open the Quran and start reading, learning, ayah by ayah. Every day Muslim must increase. Otherwise Muslim will seek deeper minus into the territory of jahala. You know, in Malaysia, I've seen, I don't know in Indonesia how they teach, they call fardu ain. In televisions, they teach certain subjects to everybody, they say fardu ain. That compulsory for everybody to learn. This is, once you learn, you're in 0 level. You need to move up. If you don't learn, you never go to maktab, you never go to madrasa, you never learn Islam, you are going minus in the nafs territory. He's in control. Absolute control of you. Nafs al-ammara. That's how nafs al-ammara works. Will never allow you to learn. Will make you lazy. Will come up with excuses. Imam Rabbani, Ahmad Farooq al-Sarhindi, قدس الله سره العزيز, one of our greatest mashayikh. He says the first impetus, first motivation to seek Islamic knowledge will come from shaitan to you. Islamic knowledge. Excuse me? Shaitan and Islamic knowledge? What are you talking about? No. He says, he's a wali of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's a spiritual psychologist, he's a doctor of the highest caliber. He says the first impetus, the first motivation will come to you from shaitan to learn, seek Islamic knowledge. He says, how? He will say to you, let's learn. Let's plunge into it. Instead of going through step by step, slowly, gradually. He will plunge you into it. And you sit in the majlis of one sheikh, in the afternoon another sheikh, in the afternoon another class, in the evening another class, in after Fajr another class. You sleep so little, you need to write down everything. So you have so little sleep, so little food, so little drink, because you're just seeking Islamic knowledge. What will happen after a couple of days? 3 or 4 days? The fatigue, the tiredness, and you collapse. Snoring. Your physiological need of sleep will overtake. Correct? What happened to your class? You missed the class. Oh, inshallah, I'll get up for the next one. You can't. Your body needs sleep. You sleep. And you wake up. You feel terrible. You missed the class. And you're ashamed to ask for the notes from other people. The sheikh was going to ask you questions. You were doing so well. But you fell on what? On your face. Because you did not do it properly. It's like going what do you call, on a diet, cold turkey. I'm going to eat one currant, one sultana a day. That's it, khalas. I'm going to lose my weight. You can't continue doing it. After 3 days, you'll also collapse. Yes, extreme. Shaitan will come to you again. You're feeling guilty. You stopped your education. Shaitan will come to you. Shaitan will say to you, what have you done? Come on. This is not good. Anybody can fall asleep. These are natural things. So you need to go back to the class again. Come on, come on. He feels guilty. He makes a wudu and goes back after 3-4 days. Back to where? The classes. In the same speed, same extreme speed, where day and night is 24 hours, only 3 hours sleep, 4 hours sleep or less. He plunged into learning, plunged into learning. Then what happens? The same thing happens. His biology, his body takes over, he collapses again. He does this 4 times. On the 5th one, he's feeling guilty. He says, I can do it again. I'm getting up. I'm going to do it again. Shaitan will give him the waswasa. And he waited for this moment. He made him do it 4 times just to say this on the 5th time to him. You know what he'll say to him? He says, listen, maybe you're not cut out for learning. This is not for you. Just to be a simple Muslim. Yeah? Go to your work and come back. And you don't have to study anything. It's all right. Allah did not give you this, If it was good for you, Allah would have given it to you. So you're a failure. You're a failure. A Muslim is never failure. Every day a Muslim must increase. 2 days should not be equal. Says Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Whose 2 days are equal is in a loss, says Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. A Muslim is supposed to increase every day. Increase in knowledge, increase in ibadah, increase his closeness, yaqeen to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only through knowledge. But if you are anchored down with jahala, ignorance, you'll never be able to move anywhere. I have told you this before. One sheikh asked his jama'ah, his students, who's our greatest enemy? They all put their hands up at that time. Communism is high. America is going crazy. They said, America, superpower. He says, no. Who's our enemy? Russia. They said, must be religious now. Israel? No, it didn't work. Zionists? Didn't work. So it must be religious. They said, Shaitan. He says, no. Nafs? He says, no. Sheikh, we run out of enemies. Who's our enemy? Greatest enemy? He says, our greatest enemy is ignorance, jahala. When we are jahil, we are the worst creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We become beasts. We destroy our environment. We destroy our people around us. We destroy anybody. We become ambitious. We work for our own selfish desires. Haram or halal doesn't matter. Huququl ibad is out the window. The rights of others out the window. We hurt other people, the ones who love us, our parents, out the window because we are jahil. It's madness. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, "Ash-sha'bu shu'batun min al-jinan." He says, youthhood is actually a branch of madness, insanity. Talk to the teenager about akhirah. Talk to the teenager. He's not interested. That's how nafs is. Nafs wants to just enjoy himself. Why? Because of jahala. If you knew that if you were to do this particular act, you're going to cop outside, the cops are waiting for you, that they're going to give you $10,000 fine and 5-year jail, will you do it? Of course you won't do it, whatever that is, because you're afraid. But if you didn't know and you deliberately ignored what the warnings are because you're mad, jahil, ignorant, you will fall into that trap. You will definitely do it. And that's how people are running towards Jahannam by the minute, constantly. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, my job is to stop you from falling into Jahannam. I'm just trying to protect you from falling into Jahannam. Because by default, Nafsul Ammara is Jahil. Nafsul Ammara is constantly at it. And he's so conscious of what he's doing. Because it's you. Yeah, I heard that one too, Yeah, Quran. I'll wait for Ramadan, inshallah. In the last 10 days of Ramadan. Until then, I enjoy myself. I'll make tawbah. Ignorance. This awareness is created by knowledge. Al-ilm. And al-ilmu ilman. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says there are two types of knowledge. One is fil lisan. One is on the tongue. This is called dry information. Information that you get on Google. That's not knowledge. That's information. You become informed. The second type, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, ilmun fil qalb. Ilm in the heart. This is called ilman nafi'a, beneficial knowledge. And this beneficial knowledge is such a nur from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He casts into the heart of a Muslim as a gift when he's sincere, when he puts his head down and tries to purify himself, his heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives this nur into the heart of a Muslim, that nur enlightens what is before him, what is behind him, what is around him. So he becomes a person who controls his actions. He doesn't give any, not even a single second, attention to nafsul ammara. He says, listen, my friend, you are and I are in this one. We need to gain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure before we die. Otherwise, eternity is eternity. We're going to be in Jahannam. Na'udhu billah, if you don't believe, we will be in trouble. Jahala. That's called jahala. You know what? These brilliant, mashallah, bright children, I can tell from their eyes. Muslims, when Muslims were proper Muslims, when we were not the marginalized people on the side where superpowers rule us, or their puppets in our countries rule us, when Muslims were Muslims, the way Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam described us, the way Quran describes us, when we were at the height of our civilization, not long ago, you can go back 300-400 years, we are at the top. We were the superpowers because we are knowledge-based people. What was the first option for every parent, if they're lucky, to do? What was the first option choice for a village to do, if they're lucky? They will choose amongst the children who is the brightest, who's the most intelligent. You can tell a child. Allah gives us separately. I mean differently. Everybody is different. Oh, mashallah, the spark in his eyes. Yes? Today, even now, Australian government goes around every year to certain schools and they select gifted kids. Why? They want to give them a separate education so they can become something else afterwards. Muslim community used to do this. The gifted children, intelligent, the smartest. And what will they do with them? Give them an iPhone and play all day? Write some software to hack into something? No. What do you think they will do with them? They will push and sponsor for the rest of their lives towards seeking Islamic knowledge and to become an alim. To become an alim, scholar, sheikh. What do we do now in contrast? Now the Muslims. So you can understand where we are. If we see somebody really intelligent and smart, we push them further, especially at 12. You need to get your 99. Then you're going to do medicine. Yes, you're going to become a surgeon or a lawyer or pharmacist, whatever they can get. Yes, so you can make lots of money. You can be comfortable in life and look after me. Tell me, honestly. And we display our children's names. Got 99. Avatar, what do they call it? Yes. In Muslim world. Now, The people who has the least aql, the people who could not go to university, could not get in scores. What do the parents do? Oh, well, you couldn't do well, so go to the madrasa and become a sheikh. So we are, all of our doctors, smartest kids of this ummah, are in science fields and trying to make some, whatever they do, to become successful in this world. And the most least intelligent ones are the ones who are sheikh. What kind of Islam do you expect from the people? I saw some statistics the other day. My eyes just popped out. You know that single-handedly, one country produces the highest PhD in the world. Which country do you think? Can't hear you. Where? Which country produces doctors most in every field? Not Israel. US? No. Palestine. Palestine. What do? They select these kids. They give them the best education. They send them outside. US. Once they see dunya, will they come back to Palestine? Their cream of the crop, the most intelligent ones, are taken outside and they're given dunya. They don't come back to their country. So who's left in Palestine? The ones who can hold stones in their hands, not a pen. Muslims need to go back to knowledge. Our first impediment for progress as ummah, as Muslims, at the individual level, as a community, as an ummah, is jahala. First impediment. We need to get rid of this wall. And you can't get rid of this wall by attending just once in the 2 months to Kitasarau in a masjid and listen to talk. I feel good now. Or open up YouTube every now and then, listen to Numan Al Khan, or listen to Mufti Mank every now and then. Or if you have time, that is. And you think that you are Muslim, you think that you are learned, you know things a lot. This is not our deen. You will never be able to combat with the thing within you, your nafs al-ammara. Because that's how it wants. Majority of the Muslims attend to lectures and talks for 2 reasons. One is because their friends are attending. They want to catch up with them with the gossip. Secondly, it makes them feel good. It's a feel-good session. Knowledge is difficult. Seeking knowledge is difficult. As Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah also says, beginning of this journey of knowledge, seeking knowledge, is like basal. And the end of it, however, he says, once you reach your destination, it's like asal. In Arabic, basal and asal, they rhyme. What does basal means? Raw onion. Can you eat raw onion every day? Difficult. So when learning, going through memorization, and they're putting everything into an order and developing slowly, it takes time. You need to be humble. You need to sit on your feet, on the floor before the ulama. Take notes, ask questions. They might see you as not so intelligent, and could be anything. But you need to do this. It's difficult. But once you get to a stage where, mashallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has gifted you with this knowledge, the end of it is like honey, sweet as. Ummah is in this state. We are just a sample of this ummah. Regardless of where you came from, what your background is, we are the same ummah of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Jahala is our biggest problem. I can give you hundreds of hadith here. What happens to a person who seeks knowledge? What reward is there for a person who teaches knowledge? Maybe I should give this and move on to the next one. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. And by the way, there is a warning for the ulama, scholars. أشد الناس عذابا يوم القيامة. Who is going to be punished most on the day of judgment, do you think? Shaitan? Shaitan is shaitan. Amongst human beings. Is it Fir'aun? Is it Haman? Is it Qarun? No. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, on the day of judgment, the person to receive the severest punishment on the day of judgment, who? عَالِمٌ لَمْ يَنْفَعْهُ عِلْمُهُ, the Islamic scholar who did not benefit from his own knowledge. He learned a lot, but he taught other people, but he never practiced himself. Then there is another hadith of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. On the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put a bridle of fire into the mouth. Hannibal the cannibal, into the fire, made out of fire, into the mouth of an alim, scholar, who's been asked questions, but because of fear, because of something, he concealed it and he did not speak the truth. An alim is a person, قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم العلماء ورثة الأنبياء. Ulama are the people who represent, who continue the job, the office of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Anbiya. Correct? So their job is not to conceal the truth. What's the purpose of learning the truth if you're going to conceal it? You need to teach. قال الله قال رسول الله. We go to our Muslim countries. I read it the other day in the newspaper. I felt so sad. Saudi government accepting Taraweeh in Ramadan. They sent directive to all their imams in the masajid, all the masjids in Saudi Arabia, not to read this ayah, that ayah, that ayah, that ayah, that ayah from the Quran. What do those ayah talk about? You can guess. Yes. Says illegal. Why? One day George Bush was watching television in Taraweeh Ramadan in Kaaba live. He was curious and he read all the translations underneath. Didn't like it, called his mate. He says, Fahad, what are you doing, mate? You have to change things. And yes, sir, no problem. You are our God. We'll do this. They do. Sad. When an alim is forced to not to speak, that's a different story beyond this. But if an alim is asked in a normal setting a question, then he deliberately conceals it, he doesn't tell the truth, on the day of judgment, bridle of fire will be shut his mouth and he'll never be able to talk. In our combat against shaitan and nafs, against sins, against jahala, who is the greatest warrior? An alim. فقيه واحد أشد على الشيطان من ألف عابد, says Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. One faqih, one learned scholar, is more formidable enemy against shaitan. He'll beat him, no problem. Then 1,000 devout worshippers who's got no knowledge. Shaitan will come to a community. If there is no alim to stop him, he will spread bid'ah amongst them, khurafa amongst them. He will come up with new ideas, interpretations of Islam amongst them. It'll become the most important thing. People do not know what the reality is. But if one alim is amongst them, he says, no, Allah says this, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says this is our deen, this is the sharia, and he teaches sincerely to people for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, shaitan cannot penetrate into this particular domain. Alayhi la'na. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, Allah, when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam starts a hadith with Allah, meaning, hey, beware, be careful. It's not a normal statement. It says, wake up, wake up. He's giving you the warning. As in, he pressed the button, alarm bells. Allah, he starts. Allah, inna dunya mal'unatun wa mal'unun ma fiha. This dunya has no meaning, has no worth in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's cursed. In Arabic, mal'una means something that has la'na. Like shaitan alayhi la'na, we call it. Yes, mal'una. Mal'un is shaitan. This dunya is mal'una. And everything in it. Oh, it's all gold and prestige and power and maqam. Everything in it is also cursed, says Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Mal'unun ma fiha. Illa, except ذكر الله تعالى, remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وما والاه, anything that facilitates this remembrance, knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وعالم أو متعلم, two people who facilitate this. Who are they? The alims and the people who seek this knowledge. What is your Nabi telling you? Seek knowledge. Otherwise, you will be caught in the web of dunya. You will end up like dunya. What will happen to dunya? Nothing. Dust. You'll also become dust as far as dunya is concerned. Nobody has become a billionaire. One of my favorite pastimes is to talk to old people. I'm talking about above 85. The people who are very successful in their lives. Now their health is really down. They're frail, and they talk slowly. They can't eat. They can't control their bladder. They can't control their prostate, their sugar, their high blood pressure. They take 18, 19 tablets a day. I talk to them about life. About life. It's amazing. I went to one doctor's place, very famous surgeon, in Melbourne, in Australia. He's gone. It's dripping here. I talk to him, doctor, what's happening? How are you going? He says, oh, I feel so sad. Why? I wasted my time in this dunya. Look, that regret. He says, you know this carpet that you're standing on? I said, what kind of a carpet? I looked, I don't usually look. Whoa, it has a beautiful pattern. It has studs in the carpet I've never seen before. Gold pieces. He said this, when I bought this, it was over $200,000. Carpet. He says, you see that painting over there? He was a painting collector. This hundreds of thousands of dollars. This $1.5 million. Yes. He says, but now if I had my aql that I have now, intellect now, when I was younger, wallah, he says, I would not buy anything. Just simple food, simple life, and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, come closer. I have wasted all my entire life. Now I am at the end. I'm waiting for Malakul Maut to come and get me. He says, what are these going to help me? This is dunya. That's why Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, at dunya mal'unatun. Dunya is cursed, and everything in it is also cursed. Meaning has no value. There is one hadith of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Just for you to understand. He says, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, verily, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had looked at this dunya with any value. Yes? Gave any worth to this dunya. Dunya is nothing in the eyes of Allah. How much? Even as much as the wing of a dead mosquito. What's the value of a dead mosquito's wing in your eyes? But he says, just can you imagine an amount? He says, if dunya was worth even as much as the wing of a dead mosquito, wallahi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not have given a sip of water to a kafir. And yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives this dunya to everybody. But our objective is not dunya. This is just a testing ground. Bells and whistles, the music, the dance, youthhood, goals and objectives, my house, my car, I am doing much better than my peers. This is dunya. if you lost your objective of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm not saying that you should not get dunya. Dunya should be in your hands, not in your heart. If the dunya enters into your heart, you're in the state of jahala. You are in the state of jahala. If the dunya is not in your heart, you know that's from Allah. You give your zakat, you give your sadaqah, you look after the poor, you're really open-hearted person, and Allah gives you more. Alhamdulillah, ashukrillah. This is the best station to be. But once you have this dunya in your hand, it gets into your heart and controls your mind, controls your dreams, controls your objectives, controls your direction in life, then you are in a state of jahala. Only through ilm you'll understand your purpose in life, your objective in life, and where you're going in life. So, who is a jahil in our religion? A person who deliberately, defiantly, yes, not forgetfully, defiantly ignores the purpose for which he or she was created and the direction is going. Just drifting purposefully. Drifting is called drifting. You are in the ocean, yeah, in a little boat of your own that you built. And where you going? Which direction? I don't know. I'm drifting. Where you going? I just want to drift. That's what Nafsul Ammara wants. Doesn't want any responsibility, doesn't want any direction, doesn't want any objective, high objective. Everything's to do with here. This is Nafsul Ammara. And the thing that enjoys most is Jahala. Then after Jahala comes habitual sinning. Habitual sinning. How's our time going? Have we done? 10 more minutes. That's even too long. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, this is a command from him. بلغوا عني ولو آية وحدثوا عن بني إسرائيل ولا حرج. Even as much as one word that you learned from me, convey it to others. Because what was the source of knowledge? Allah, قال Allah, Allah said, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the interpreter. Even convey from me, even if it's one single ayah, one single hadith. Transmit from Bani Israel, the stories of Bani Israel. Wala haraj. There is no harm in doing so, provided they're true. There are so many stories that we have received. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also told us, وَلَا نُكَذِّبُ وَلَا نُصَدِّقُ. The ruling in the Sharia. Neither do we testify its truth, nor do we deny it. Yes? Bani Israel, there is no قال Allah, قال Rasulullah, some stories. Our tafsir books are full of stories from Bani Israel. And we benefit from. Not a problem. There is no harm in that also, he says. But بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. Even one ayah you hear from me, you pass it on. How did Islam spread to the world? What did the companions do? Some of them are just farmers, the people, Bedouins. They're not educated people, but they memorize the words of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. After they hear a hadith, he used to speak very slowly, one by one, and short passages. And after that they will teach each other. He says, what did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Okay, they try to memorize. There are some hadith in the world, in the hadith collections. It is called the verbatim. Word for word, identical. They memorize and pass it on. But some of the hadith, it means exactly the same, but the wording is a little bit different. So they came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, Ya Rasulullah, we convey the message as you said to us, بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. Convey from me even if it's one verse. We're trying, but we can't remember your beautiful words. Is it okay if we just convey the message to the best of our ability? But we will not add anything or subtract anything? He said, yes, you can. Majority of, because in the ulum al-hadith, All of the companions are called udul. They are absolutely above criticism, because Sahabi cannot lie against Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's impossible. It is impossible for a Sahabi companion to make up a hadith. Yes, because hadith is part of the deen. If they were to do it, look at the warning, what Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says: وَمَنْ كَذَبَ عَلَيَّ مُتَعَمِّدًا فَلْيَتَبَوَّأْ مَقْعَدَهُ مِنَ النَّارِ. He who deliberately attributes a lie to me, some words to me that I never said, deliberately made up a hadith, fabricated a hadith, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, beware, that person's permanent address is in Jahannam. Let him prepare his maq'ad, sitting place in Jahannam, he says, finnar, in the fire. Therefore, companions were so scared to convey anything, and yet Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam encouraged them. If you look at the companions, not many companions narrated hadith. Who was the closest friend of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anh. You know that he only narrated 500 hadith? 500 hadith. Some of them even less. Some of them say 5, some of them 10, 15. They lived with Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam because of this particular warning. But it is our duty to pass this knowledge on. When you conceal this knowledge, everybody becomes jahil. And jahil is like a fire. You start a fire, the whole forest burns. After the forest burned, that generation is lost. We are in this situation because we did not receive that knowledge properly. If we had this knowledge properly received, we won't be here. I promise you, we won't be in Australia except for da'wah purposes. We will not be coming to Australia for rizqi purposes. Although rizq is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for rizqi purpose only. So make your intention, inshallah, to seek Islamic knowledge, to get out of the jahala, and inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will change your ending also, inshallah. That's all I'm going to say today. I was going to say quite a lot. Actually, I haven't even started talking yet. Inna lillahi wa inna rajiun. I had so many nice things to say to you. I prepared all night, but nothing. I am a jahil person. I'm just an ignorant person. May Allah forgive me. Yes.
Jazakallah, Sheikh, for the sharing of the talk on jahala. Inshallah, we'll have more material for you next time. Inshallah. I will open the forum for if anyone has any questions in regards to this particular topic on jahala. Please, Bang Nel, question. Maybe the sisters, if any.
Alhamdulillah. They are hungry. Yes. Rejecting the truth is called kufr. A person who covers this truth, kufr, this truth is called kafir. The reason why people become kafir, primarily out of jahala. If it's not out of jahala, ignorance, they never receive that education when they're young, when they're trying to find out their position, the purpose in life. What is the meaning of life? Where did they come from? Where they're going? What's the purpose of this existence? They found some answers, but not from our sources. They found answers in the Western philosophy, or some Greek philosophy, or something else, some Chinese philosophy, or some materialism, the capitalist philosophy. They found something. So they are comfortable in that jahala state. The only thing that will take that person out from the jahala state is for him or her, because all these jahil people, kafir people are absolutely arrogant. They think they know. Yes? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never give anything to anybody who is arrogant. Kibr. We will be going through kibr inshallah, maybe 2 more lessons after. Yes? When you have kibr, Shaitan who had kibr, he lost the plot. When Allah asked all the malaika to make sajda, just out of respect to Adam, my creation makes sajda. I'm asking you, what did Shaitan do? Because he's arrogant. He says, I am better than him. He missed the point of command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes? Arrogant, he's the first mutakabbir. He's the first one who has this pride. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives everything except kibr. When you come with kibr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, keep away. Because kibr is my rida. Kibr is my mental. He says, I am the all-perfect, the only being who deserves to be proud is me. And you, puny thing, human being, you're feeling because of little intelligence that I've given to you, arrogant, therefore reject the truth. Reject the truth, you will never find your way to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are Orientalists, sister. The people who specialize in studying Islam, who are not Muslims. They could be Jews, Christians, anybody. At the universities, that was their greatest mental for a while. They were attacking Islam when Islam was weak about 100 years ago. They have written so many, interpreted so many things from Islam, translated from Arabic. They know Arabic better than you and I do. They know Quran better than you and I do. Some of them had some little wijdan, some conscience. They say Islam is beautiful, so beautiful, so beautiful. Yes, praise Islam, but some of them really nasty. Yes, they reject deliberately. Shaykh Rahmatullah alayh, Mahmud Jushan Qaddasallahu Surah al-Aziz, he used to say, these people are like a person, an architect, for example, mi'amar or designer. He comes to a beautiful palace, amazing built. They go around and admire. Wow, look at that. Wow, look at that. The Orientals with the heart. He says, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never allow them to find the door, the front door to go inside. Because that door is hidayah. Hidayah only given by whom? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Condition for hidayah is first to get rid of this kibr, this arrogance, and put your head down in humility. Ya Rabbi, please, astaghfirullah. Please forgive me. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you. As long as you continue in arrogance, because due to jahala, ignorance, deliberate ignorance, then you will never find. You can say to these people as much as you want, no matter who they are. Yes? Even if their name is Ahmed and Hassan and Uthman, they will reject. They'll say Quran is old. It came time of Muhammad, as if Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was his mate in the army. They did army together. Muhammad, who's Muhammad? He was an Arab. Na'udhu billah. This is their thinking, Western thinking, the Orientalist thinking. He will say it was just contextual. The Quran was relevant to that time, not in our times. You're a kafir. You can only make dua for their hidayah. That's the only thing you can do. Ya Rabbi, please give hidayah to these people. But protect what you have. Keep away from such evil people if you don't have the ability to challenge them and teach them, to silence them, because they will influence you. Once they influence you, you begin to have doubt. And once you have doubt in you, it grows like a crack in the ship. It will start to take in water. Then you will become one of them. Make sense? So we need to make dua for those. We try our best. It is our job. It is our job to teach, but with kindness. With what? With wisdom. With what? With gentle words. With what? With our actions. You practice Islam. You show your akhlaq, your ethics towards them, and let them see the difference between a believer and non-believer, practicing Muslim and a non-practicing Muslim. I get dime a dozen sister. In one Muslim family, Haji, atheist. And he's hiding so well. I said to him, you're an atheist. He says, how did you guess? How did you know? I said, I know you. He acts so weird because his heart is not there. It took 1.5, 2 years before we put him back into. Because he read some books. Some Orientalist books or some Kafir books or something. It distorted their iman. And after that, they lost. Depending on how they enter into you. So, our dua is to make dua for hidayah for everybody who is a non-Muslim in the world. Because they're also the ummah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whether they accept it or not accept it. Food.
Maybe anyone else got any questions? All right. In that case, inshallah, we will finish up for today. Alhamdulillah, jazakallah khair. Sheikh, barakallah for your time today, this morning. And we look forward for the next topic, inshallah. And with that, we close with dua kafaratul majlis.
نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. صدق الله العظيم. اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى. اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا وقلبا خاشعا ولسانا ذاكرا وشاكرا وتوبة نصوحا. اللهم أرنا حق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا باطلا باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه بحرمة سيد المرسلين وبحرمة من أرسلته رحمة للعالمين وبحرمة سر سورة الفاتحة.
Once again, thank you, Shaykh. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Please forgive me if I'm taking too much of your time.